Welcome back to Dinar Community Channel. The idea of the Iraqi Dinar Revaluation, or IQD, has captivated thousands of hopeful investors for years. It's a narrative of redemption, both for Iraq as a nation and for individuals who believe a single event could flip their financial destinies. Some bought in early when IQD was barely on anyone's radar. Others entered more recently, drawn in by whispers of global banking shifts, high-level meetings, and leaked rates. But amid the excitement, the same question lingers in the background, quietly unspoken in most circles. What if the RV doesn't happen, at least not the way we expect? For every conversation about $3.77, $6.20, or contract rates, there's another side of the coin that remains largely unexplored. And that's the scenario where the long-anticipated RV doesn't occur in the way the community hopes, or worse, stalls indefinitely. In that event, how do you protect your time, your emotional energy, and most importantly, your money? This is the exit strategy conversation no one seems eager to have, but desperately needs to. First, it's important to understand that disappointment in speculative currency markets isn't unique to the dinar. History is filled with stories of anticipated revaluations, resets, or even government overhauls that didn't pan out. But what separates success stories from financial ruin is preparation. Investors who enter speculative markets, whether it's crypto, gold-backed digital assets, or foreign currency, must be equally committed to their risk management as they are to their dreams of gains. If you hold IQD today, the first thing you need to do is define your personal point of no return. In simple terms, this is the moment where you say, if this hasn't happened by X date, or under Y conditions, I need to make a move. That date may vary from person to person. For some, it could be the end of 2025. For others, perhaps a specific economic indicator, such as no movement after a key Iraqi political event or banking shift. The danger in indefinite hope is that it erodes your ability to pivot. Hope can be powerful, but unchecked, it becomes a trap. One of the smartest moves you can make if the RV doesn't materialize is to reevaluate your portfolio. Consider this. If you've placed more than 30% of your liquid assets into IQD, you may be overexposed. Diversification has always been the golden rule in investing. That doesn't mean you must sell off your dinar immediately. But you should assess whether you've allowed optimism to outweigh financial logic. Can you reduce your position modestly and move funds into growth stocks, dividend ETFs, or even emerging markets that show real momentum? Let's talk liquidity. One of the biggest pitfalls in speculative investing is locking your capital into something illiquid. Dinar is not like stock or crypto that you can unload in seconds. If the RV stalls, those holding massive quantities of IQD may discover the resale market is thin, and far below what they paid. That's why a staged exit strategy is important. Begin listing portions of your dinar holdings at small volumes on credible currency resale platforms or brokers that allow buybacks. You don't need to offload it all at once, but testing the waters helps you get a real-world view of demand. Emotional detachment is another critical step. Many people holding IQD have tied their emotional well-being to a financial event. This is understandable. The dinar story is filled with emotionally charged narratives: war, reconstruction, a nation's rebirth, promises of wealth transfer and financial justice. But none of these guarantee a windfall. It's crucial to mentally separate your self-worth from this investment. You are not a failure if the RV doesn't manifest the way you expected. The market owes you nothing. Your future can still be strong and abundant, just perhaps through a different path. Another overlooked but powerful strategy is leveraging your IQD experience as knowledge capital. If you've spent years researching international finance, central banking policies, and geopolitical developments, you've acquired more than paper bills. You've developed rare insight that has value. You can repurpose that understanding into something profitable, whether that's launching a blog, teaching financial literacy courses, creating investment guides, or advising others on how to safely navigate speculative landscapes. Many of the most successful entrepreneurs were not born out of flawless wins, but from how they recovered when things went sideways. If you've been a part of this space for a while, you've probably heard the stories. The person who sold too early and watched the RV happen days later. Or the person who held too long and saw no exit. That's why timing matters, but so does alignment. Ask yourself, does holding this investment still align with your broader financial goals? Have you been delaying other life moves, starting a business, relocating, pursuing education, because you're waiting on the RV? If the answer is yes, that may be a sign it's time to rebalance not just your finances but your life priorities. There's also the issue of legacy planning. For those who have converted a large portion of their net worth into IQD, what would happen if something happened to you? Would your family know what to do with your holdings? Would they understand the exit strategy, or even the reasoning behind the purchase? If not, now is the time to put a written plan in place. This isn't about giving up on the RV, it's about acting like a responsible investor, regardless of outcome. Let's not forget that even in a scenario where the RV doesn't fail, it may simply roll out differently than expected. It may be gradual. It may come in multiple phases. It might not hit the dream rates circulating in chat rooms. You should prepare for what a partial revaluation looks like. If it comes in at 0.10 or 0.25 instead of 3.00 or 6.00, what does that mean for your strategy? Would you exchange all, or just part? Have you calculated those possibilities in realistic terms? Too many investors only look at best-case scenarios. But strength lies in planning for every possible outcome, including ones that are merely moderate. On a practical level, if you decide to step away from your IQD position, avoid panic selling. The market will always exploit desperation. Take your time. Find legitimate currency resellers. Avoid Telegram, buy-back groups, email offers, or sketchy wire transfer deals. Stick to known platforms with real reviews and transaction history. You may take a loss, but it can be minimized through patience and due diligence. Another idea is reinvesting that capital into assets that are still speculative, but with a broader use case. For example, emerging tech startups, tokenized real estate, or clean energy projects. The point isn't to jump into another risky bet blindly, but rather to shift from hope-based holding to opportunity-driven investing. One of the most liberating things you can do is to publicly acknowledge your involvement in the dinar space without shame. There's a stigma attached to being a dinar holder in some circles, thanks to years of mainstream dismissal and scam accusations. But if you believed in the RV with logic, research, and conviction, own it. That takes courage. Whether or not the RV ever delivers, you are willing to think outside the box. That's a mindset that can still produce results elsewhere. If you're struggling with uncertainty, consider speaking with a financial advisor, not necessarily to manage your dinar, but to realign your overall plan. You may discover you're in a better position than you think. A fresh pair of eyes can spot opportunity where emotion only sees regret. It may also help you create tax-efficient strategies for liquidation, should you ever need to exit gradually. Above all, keep in mind that the RV community is filled with people who genuinely want the best for one another. Don't isolate yourself. Find forums and groups that encourage critical thinking, not just blind optimism. Connect with others who are exploring exit strategies, even if it's just for peace of mind. Community can be a powerful motivator, especially when you're weighing difficult decisions. The truth is, nobody has a crystal ball. No guru, no intel source, no banker truly knows the full picture. That includes those who believe the RV will happen next week and those who say it never will. All you can control is your strategy, your mindset, and your ability to pivot. If you enter the IQD space with hope, leave it with wisdom, whether the revaluation materializes or not. So what happens if the RV fails? Life continues. Markets evolve. New opportunities emerge, and the time you spent in this community doesn't have to be in vain. In fact, it can be the foundation for your next chapter, one driven by critical thinking, resilience, and a deeper understanding of how the world's money truly moves. You may still hope, you may still hold, but now, you'll also have a plan. That's power, that's maturity, and that's what separates the dreamers from the builders. Like and subscribe for more videos.